I, nearly adult female, had been forced to babysit for my dad and his wife of 5 years for the last 4 summers. The kids are my dad's stepkids, and they're currently all young grammar school age. No, the kids are 100% not my dad's kids. And yes, I'm positive that they're not his kids. It doesn't matter anyway, but I wanted to put that out there because I know the ages would make it appear like at least one could be. My dad was never a very good dad to me. When I was a kid, he was really absent from our house. He left raising me to my mom and would show up when others were around to make it look good. But he never got involved or cared about me or my life. The one time I was always sure to see him was his birthday, when he would get mom to cook his favorite meal and open gifts. He never failed to show up when it was about him. My mom got sick when I was 8, and my dad bailed and filed for divorce. He left me to deal with my dying mom, and unfortunately for her, the divorce didn't go through before she passed, so he was still her husband. And yeah, he wasn't emotionally present for me then or physically. He dumped me on a babysitter until I was 11, and then I was seen as old enough to be left alone. When I was 12, he moved in with his wife, who was still pregnant then, and they weren't married then. They got married when her youngest was about 5 months old. They told me I was going to level up and be a good big sis to her kids so that they could live their own lives and the kids would have someone to look up to. Then came the forced babysitting during the summer, all summer long. I always tried to find ways out of it, but felt like I had no options, at least no realistic ones. My dad's wife is better than my dad. She isn't very involved or directly caring towards her kids. Still, she'll often bark at me for not being more sweet to her kids and saying how sad her kids look when I don't interact with them. It's more than my dad would do, but she's not exactly getting involved with her own kids. I've been planning to get out for over a year. I turn 18 in May and graduate a couple of weeks later. I'll likely go to stay with friends on my 18th birthday. I will be totally gone and never return. I won't babysit, and I know they expected that to happen, but I don't know if they would actually pay for someone else or if they'd leave the kids without someone watching them. So I decided to tell my dad I won't be babysitting this summer. In my head, if she cares a little, she might get someone else in. My dad told me I've been the most consistent person in the kids' lives, and I'm an idiot for dismissing them like that. He told me I should be staying and doing what he and his wife want because they put a roof over my head for so long. He told me I'm going to cost him money with this. His wife started yelling at me for leaving her kids behind and how sad they'd be. Am I the idiot? You've been the most consistent person in their lives? Oi, that's a low bar for your dad and their mother to miss. Not the idiot. I lived this exact life as a child. My dad slept, ate, and worked. My stepmom slept and slept and slept. I was left to raise my siblings. For anyone to call it help or being a good big sis is delusional. Your child is keeping your children fed, safe, and clean while you sleep until 1 p.m. My entire childhood was spent taking care of my siblings. While they were my actual siblings, I was still a child, and that childhood was taken from me. I left on my 18th birthday and never looked back. She chose to have those children. Your dad chose her. They're not your responsibility. And while the children are innocent, they're not yours. I'm so sorry you were ever put into this situation. I put a roof over your head is some crap. It's been his job to raise you, care for you, love you, value you, comfort you, and prepare you for adulthood. And he thinks you should be thankful that he let you live in your house while he used you to cover up his parenting laziness and indifference? You do not owe Dad or his wife for the bare minimum of providing you housing when you were a child. They have failed you. They treated you as unpaid childcare for 4 years. Now that you've told your dad about your plan, make sure you find your important documents and items and keep them in a safe location off the property. You can't trust him. I, 29 male, have 2 siblings. My sister Lucy, 28, and brother Joe, 26. We had very different parents growing up. I went no contact over a decade ago, while my brother and sister have the best of memories with them. My parents took better care of them, cared more about their well-being, and fought for them. I always came last. I was the first to need glasses as a kid, but the last to go get them because they delayed it and prioritized my siblings getting them. By my turn, they had spent so much that I had to go for the cheapest pair that didn't fit me. When I was a teenager, I developed a cyst. It caused me some pain, and surgery was advised to get it removed. But because it wasn't an essential surgery, my parents said it could wait until it needed to be removed, or until I was old enough to pay for it myself. They left me dealing with daily pain because they didn't consider it worth the money. I tried begging my parents, but they told me they didn't want to pay for unnecessary surgery. I told them it would improve my life by being pain-free, and they said I was living just fine. They set my siblings down for college talks before they entered high school. They never had those talks with me. They didn't even mention it when I would come home with stuff from school about college options. My parents never tried to contact me when I made no contact. I did lose touch with my siblings for a couple of years. We had a very strange relationship for about 2 years after contact was made when Joe moved out at 19, and we went from very strained to regular strained. They don't understand my experience with our parents, and they dislike that I told them we had different parents, even with the same people as parents. Both parents are now sick and require care. Mom's a little worse than Dad at the moment, but per Lucy, that changes depending on how they're doing. They're looking at nursing facilities where they'll get the best care, and they're expensive, so my siblings want to split the cost 3 ways. I told them I would not pay for our parents' care. They told me I have to, and surely I owe them this much. I told them the only care I would ever pay for is the kind where they get treated the same as they treated me. They told me not to be spiteful, and as the oldest, I should think of it as helping them as well. Am I the idiot? Surely I owe them this much. Nah, you don't owe this to your siblings or your parents. Not the idiot. You're not required to pay for the care of your aging parents, even if you had a great relationship with them, let alone paying for the care of parents that you consciously chose to distance yourself from over a decade ago. If your siblings decide to foot that cost, good on them, but don't let them make you feel bad for having a valid boundary. As the oldest, you should teach your younger siblings the old saying, you reap what you sow. They should wait for care until it's really needed, or they can pay for it themselves. You went no contact and are simply continuing with the no contact. Why would they expect you to want to contribute financially to parents with whom you have no relationship? Something people forget is that we do not owe our parents anything just because they brought us into this world. OP should get a paternity test to even see if it's his real dad or if his mom cheated, and that's why they mistreat him. Please see an attorney and see if filial responsibility applies to your jurisdiction. You might be legally required to contribute. I, 42 female, have a son, Ben, 19, with my husband, Tom. Ben was born a girl and realized by 16 that he wanted to transition from female to male. Tom and I weren't initially supportive, and I took longer to come around. I only did so after Tom passed in an accident, and I realized how distant my relationship with Ben was. When Ben was born, Tom got a tattoo of our then daughter's name on his arm, and we have a lovely picture together of me, Tom, and Ben at a few months old at the beach where Tom's tattoo is visible. Ben doesn't like me to keep pictures hanging of him, past when he was a kid or older and still female presenting. So I only have pictures in the house of him as a toddler or an adult now. The only picture that I've not agreed to take down is the one of us at the beach. I really like that one. Ben's only issue is the tattoo, but for me, it's one of my happiest memories of that day, and I don't want to take it down. Ben is very upset about me keeping that picture up and says I'm being cruel because it reminds him of his dead name. Edit. Tom passed when Ben was still female presenting, so the only photo I have of us 3 that Ben likes, well, he used to like, is the one at the beach. where Ben's a lot younger and wearing a gender-neutral outfit. Also, the photo is up in the hallway just outside my bedroom, which is not anywhere near Ben's room and will not be seen by house guests unless they come into my room. This is probably controversial, but not the idiot. This is a picture of your family at one of its happiest moments. Your husband's deceased, and that picture reminds you of happier times. You have rid the house of all other pictures of your son except this one. It's time for Ben to compromise. Honestly, it sounds like Ben needs some major therapy if he can't even have pictures of the past, including his dead dad. A deceased father that Ben was on bad terms with when he passed, losing that hope of future reconciliation will also mess a person up. It's your home, but Ben is allowed to give his opinion. Just be aware that you're making your home an uncomfortable place for him to be. Agreed. Consider that it may be a reminder that his father was not supportive of his gender and that he didn't feel safe transitioning while his father was alive. His father never got to see him truly being himself. That's pretty painful. To not have any photos of himself and his dad that aren't painful, all your happiest memories will, of course, be of when your husband was still alive and are of times when he was suffering. Ben can move out if he doesn't like it. This is the kind of BS that makes older LGBT people roll their eyes. You've done more than enough to cater to him, and you aren't even calling him by his dead name. It's a family photo on the beach, with the dead name tattooed on your deceased husband's arm. Everything else from Ben's past has been removed. Ben has to learn to compromise and have thicker skin as a trans man in this harsh society. He doesn't get to bully you over a photo. I've been with my husband for 8 years, and we just had our first and last baby a few months ago. He has hung out with his friend several times since she was born because his buddy lives right beside us. He's a darn good dad and an excellent provider for us. I didn't feel slighted when he would leave for a few hours to see his friends, and he often told me that when the time came, that he could watch the baby himself. She's strictly breastfed, that I could go do whatever I wanted for a night because I deserved it. I don't know how important that info is. Anyway, this year, none of our family did anything for Thanksgiving, and we knew well in advance. But my friend was having a Friendsgiving, and we opted to go to that. I knew drinking would be involved, so for 2 weeks straight, I was pumping and getting baby girl used to a bottle so I could let loose. I had pumped at least enough for 8 feedings. I ended up having my girlfriend over for dinner, and I let my hair down. I had a bottle of wine between me and her. I was definitely feeling it. My husband had the baby the whole time, basically, but I was right there, too. However, by the end of the night, he was acting irritated. I thought it was because I was too loud. I was pretty darn loud, not gonna lie. But the baby has zero issues sleeping through big noise, so she slept fine. I kept asking what was wrong and was met with an irritated, "Nothing." Anyways, yesterday, he finally made comments about it, saying, "Yeah, we aren't having a repeat of that anytime soon." I asked what he meant, and he said, "It's way too darn soon for you to be acting like that." Now I feel like an idiot. So am I? Not the idiot. Wait, you had 2 or 2.5 glasses of wine and fun with a friend in your own house, and your husband couldn't deal with the baby for a few hours? OP, please make this a routine ritual and preferably go out and hang out with your friends. Let the husband take care of the baby all alone. The only mistake here was staying in. But, he's a good dad. He may be a provider, as in apparently bringing in money, but he can't even deal with an infant for a couple of hours while in their own house while she's home. Too soon to be acting like that? Not having a repeat of this? Nice. I love a good judgmental double standard. Total gem, this one. Don't forget Dad's generous offer every 5 months to babysit his own kids while Mom grabs a coffee with a friend for an hour. If my partner had told me it was too soon to be acting this way, acting what way? Having a couple of glasses of wine for the first time in a year and a half, and ordered there would be no repeat of this anytime soon, I swear all heck would have broken loose. He's not watching his baby. He's being a parent. He helped make the child. He's responsible for the child. Period. End of story. You have just as much right to free time as he does. It is better for both of you and your child to learn that lesson now. You pre-planned in advance. You had everything organized. Don't let him gaslight you into thinking you're the issue. He is. I, 25 female, and my husband, 26, had a baby girl, Amy, toddler. Amy was born with a lazy eye and a birthmark on her forehead. Nobody's ever had a problem with this, especially my husband and I. My sister has always been a rude person. For example, if we were in public and she saw someone, even slightly overweight, she'd insult them to me, talking horribly about a stranger she didn't even know. My sister recently got plastic surgery and lip filler. It's just started to heal, so we invited most of our family around our place for dinner. This would be the first time anyone would see her since the surgery. My sister walked in almost an hour after dinner had started, and everyone stopped to watch her. She looked like a loose woman. Her face was full of plastic. She was wearing the thickest makeup I've ever seen, and her skirt was almost showing her butt. Keep in mind that this is a family dinner with children. I couldn't even look at my sister. The plastic surgery looked absolutely horrible, and I knew my family well enough to know they were thinking the exact same thing. My sister sits down, acting like everything is normal, and it is for half an hour or so. She starts talking about how everyone should get some sort of surgery and that we need to rid the world of ugly and fat people. Everyone was biting their tongue so as not to ruin the dinner, but I finally snapped when my sister made a comment about my beautiful daughter. "Oh, P, I'm pretty sure there's some sort of surgery to fix a lazy eye. Maybe then Amy won't get bullied. And while you're at it, see if you can find something for that nasty blemish on her forehead too." That wasn't exactly what she said. There was a lot more, but this was what stuck out to me. I stood up and shouted something along the lines of, "You cow! How dare you say that? My daughter's perfect. You can't say anything about looks now that you look like a donkey." Of course, my sister started crying and left, and the dinner had to be cut short. A few family members have told me that while what she said was rude, I was out of line for insulting her looks. My husband's parents and a few cousins are on my side, and some have even cut my sister off. My sister's blocked me on everything, and her husband, who wasn't present for dinner, called me an idiot and said that I've sent her into a depression. He cussed me out for a while before hanging up and blocking me on everything too. It's been a week since this happened, and neither has tried to contact me. I don't feel bad. I'm just sorry that she has to look like a donkey until she finds a way to get the plastic out of her face. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. While your reaction was harsh, especially at a family dinner table with children present, I can fully understand it. It seems that in her world, she didn't realize that she was crossing a line by suggesting plastic surgery for your daughter. But that doesn't excuse what she said. You were correct in defending your daughter from a person who makes a regular point to talk smack about, in her view, ugly people. I disagree. You are the idiot for insulting donkeys. Just because donkeys aren't the most beautiful animals around, that doesn't mean you can insult them by comparing someone who's disfigured themselves by shoving plastic and chemicals into their face. These plastic people make monkfish look good. Donkeys are cute, but not OP's sister. Your sister obviously needs help. Her preoccupation with looks has reached an unsustainable level. Her reaction was that despite her bravado about her new appearance, she was still desperately unsatisfied. Don't be surprised if she gets more surgery. Your response was nuclear but understandable. It would be best if you stayed away from her till she addresses her issues. I feel sorry for her.